We are now going to look at Unit 3. Unit 3 is looking at the accounting process. Looking at the accounting process. In accounting, we have to look at the accounting cycle. We need to look at the accounting cycle. In trying to do this again, we need to look at the steps in accounting process. We have to look at the steps in accounting process. We have got what is called posting transactions, then accounting equation, then double entry system. These are the three steps in accounting process. We have to look first at what posting transaction simply means. In posting transactions, we have got what we call posting transactions simply means to enter the transactions. That's what it means to post, to enter. So now in accounting, we enter the transactions twice. This is what we call double entry system. Double entry is where a transaction is entered twice. Twice is entered in two accounts. One account is debited, the other account is credited. That's what double entry is all about. That's what posting transactions is all about. It's entered it twice. So you're talking of entering it twice in two accounts. One account will be debited, the other account will be credited. So, we are also going to look at the accounting equation. The accounting equation has information where we have got assets is equals to capital plus liabilities. So also it has got some information also in the accounting process. Okay, as I was saying, we are looking at the double entry. Double entry simply means entering a transaction in two accounts. One of the accounts will be debited, the other account will be credited. But now we need to know, how do we identify which account to be debited? How do we identify which account to be credited? This information is drawn from a transaction where you first have to identify two accounts from a transaction and then analyze it as to which one is to be credited and which one is to be debited. And to help us do this, I will make a few explanations here and there. Okay. We are going to look at a debit side of an account and the credit side of an account. A debit side of an account is an account that when an account is receiving, we enter on the debit side. And when an account is giving, we enter on the credit side. So now, depending on the transaction that you are trying to do, it will be able to give you two accounts. Okay. For example, For example, started business with the capital structure with the bank. So we are trying to look at which account is to be debited, which account is to be credited. So what is important is to come up with the two transactions from a sentence that has been given, the two accounts from a transaction. For example, we could have a transaction where they say started business with cash 30,000 kwacha. With cash 30,000 kwacha. So the first thing that you're supposed to do is to identify what are the two accounts. So this thing is a three-stage work. The first thing is identify the two accounts. That's number one. Number two is identify which account is a giver and which account is a receiver. Number three is to identify which account will be debited and which account will be credited. So now, when we have got this sentence, let us go through these three stages. One, I said, we identify the accounts, identification of accounts on this transaction. So the two accounts here are started business account, it's an account, and the other one is the cash account. Now, started business account, we don't call it started business account. We call it capital account. Started business, we don't call it started business account, we call it capital account. Okay, we have identified the two accounts from this transaction. The next stage, the next bullet is identify which of the two accounts is a giver and which of the two accounts is a receiver. Okay, capital, in this case, is a giver. Capital represents the owner of the business. The owner of the business takes money from home and gives it to the business. So capital is always a giver in this context when you're starting the business. And the form of receiving the money, the business received the money in form of cash. And cash is a receiver. Cash is a receiver. So hence the rule, debit the receiver and credit the giver. So we have identified the two accounts there. Therefore, which one there is a giver, which one there will be debited, and which one will be credited? The giver is always credited, and the receiver is always debited. So the way I want us to move is the three stages: the identification of the accounts, 2, identifying which account is a giver, which account is a receiver, 3, which account will be debited and which account will be credited. So that's the way I want us to move: identification of accounts, and we go through these 3. Any question on this one? First one, how to identify the accounts, identifying which one is giving, which one is receiving. As I've said, capital represents a human being or the business people. They take money from their home and gives it to the business. So capital is always a giver. And the cash is received in that context. Any questions, please? Do you have any question or any challenge there?
I have a question.
Please, you're welcome.
When it says that we borrowed money, like we got a loan from the bank to start the business for 70,000.
We borrowed money?
What account are we going to have? Yes, we got a loan to start the business, to finance the business.
I haven't gotten it clearly. Come again.
I'm saying, what accounts are we going to have if the business is financed using a loan?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. When we have borrowed money, is it? We have borrowed money from the bank?
Yes.
Yes. When you borrow money from the bank, the two accounts are the name of the bank itself, okay? And depending on the way the money came to us, was the money in form of cash or was in form of bank? So we received them, if we received the money in form of check from the bank. So the two accounts there are the bank and the bank account for us and the bank name. For example, if it is Zanaco, so it will be Zanaco account and a bank account for us. Meaning the bank account that we are having will be debited. Then the bank Zanaco we are going to credit. In short, Zanaco has given out money to us. So Zanaco will be like our creditor. Are we there, madam? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to go through parts. We go through them and then check how we look at it. Okay? Okay, let us look at this point here where I was saying, here what I want us to look much is how to identify the two accounts, because questions do come on double entry, where you are supposed to identify the two accounts, identify which one is a giver, which one is a receiver. Let us look at this one, paid rent by cash 20 kwacha. Paid rent by cash. How do we identify the two accounts? Now, there's a point that I want you to learn there. Anything you are spending money on, it is an account. I hope we are getting that point there. Anything you spend money on, that thing you're spending money on, it is an account, and that the same one, it is the receiver. Then the source of money, it is also an account, and that one is always a giver. So here we are paying rent by cash, meaning rent is the receiver and cash is the giver. Are we following that point there? So in short, the key thing I want you to learn is anything you are spending money on, it is always the account. Have we gotten that point? Hello? Okay, let us look at this other one. Assuming I said paid electricity by check. Paid electricity by check, 4,000 kwacha. What are the two accounts that would give me from there? Paid electricity by check, 3,000 kwacha. Give me the three arrangement. What are the two accounts? Then two, meaning identify the two accounts. Two, which one is a giver? Three, which one will be debited, which one will be credited? Help me. Asfreda. Anyone to help there? This transaction which is there? Paid electricity by check, 3,000. We want us to come up with the account.
We'll have an electricity account and the bank account.
Very good. Electricity account and the bank account. How have you identified those? Because like we're using a principle to say anything you're spending money on, it is an account. So automatically paid helps you to know that electricity is an account. Paid, the keyword there is paid. So anything you're paying for is an account, and the source of money is also an account. So, and anything you're paying for always is debited, and the source of money is always credited. Okay. Then I want us also to look at how to enter into the accounts. How do we enter into there? We have identified the two accounts, and we have identified which one is a giver, which one is a receiver. And then let us see, how do we enter? You have to open up the ledger account, like it is written here. You open up the two ledger accounts you have opened. Electricity account, debit and credit. Bank account, debit and credit. The mistake that people make when entering in, for example, in the electricity account, the mistake that people make is after they have identified that the electricity will be debited and the bank will be credited, you have to write. You have to write the text. The two accounts here are electricity and the bank. Now, we are saying that the debit, the electricity will be debited. You are going to enter the other account of the two inside here, the details, the bank. Have you seen where the bank is? In the electricity account. Have you seen it? Okay. So the mistake that people make, instead of entering on the debit side of electricity, they end up entering on the credit side because they have said the bank will be credited. So they would enter this bank on the credit side instead of the owner of the account here is the electricity. So you're supposed to enter the amount on the electricity account and not using the text. The one that we write inside the table is called the text. We don't consider that one when entering on the side. What we consider is the one on top. The mother is the one that is on top there. That's the mother. That's the owner of the account. So what you are supposed to do in the electricity is what is debit, and you enter on the debit. The bank there is just merely a text to say this electricity account has received 3,000 kwacha. Where did the money come from? The money came from the bank. Okay. Then we go to bank. When you go to the bank account, you don't need to enter on the debit side of the bank. Since the bank account has given out, you say electricity, 3,000 kwacha on the credit side. Okay. So bank has given out 3,000 kwacha, which has gone to the electricity. Any challenge on how to enter there? From my teaching back, from the time I've been teaching, I've been seeing people having challenges on how to enter here. They have been swapping them. The one which is supposed to be debited is credited. The one that's supposed to be debited is credited is debited. That's what I'm trying to ask there, so that you don't make a similar mistake. So anything that you are paying for should be entered on the debit side. So
that was a challenge here.
There was a challenge?
Yes.
Okay. You had that challenge?
I had that challenge, yes, but now I think it's much better.
Yes, because usually from my teaching time, I've been seeing people making that problem. Instead of putting it to, someone can easily identify properly that this account will be credited or will be credited, debited. But when entering, they swap them. I'm glad that you have come out that you had that challenge and then now it has gone. Let us look at okay, so we are going to look at an example, some examples that we are going to get from the question bank, and then maybe let us do the identification of the accounts, and then which account to be debited, which account to be credited. Once we're able to do that, then we are very, very safe on the double entry system. Okay, we have this question. It's saying, on 1 January 2018, the company commenced business with 150,000 kwacha cash, in cash from Makola, the only shareholder, meaning it's like a sole trader. Okay, what are the two accounts there? Let us assist each other there. What are the two accounts there on that transaction? Help with the answers. The company commenced business with 150,000 in cash from Makola, the only shareholder. What are the two accounts there? We are now trying to do those three. One, identify the accounts. Two, identify which account is the giver. Three, which one will be debited, which one will be credited. Yes.
So there's capital account and cash account.
Very good. We have got capital account and cash account. Now, which account there is a giver, which account is a receiver? Of those two, which account is receiving, which account is giving? Help me with solutions.
Cash is receiving, capital is giving out.
Correct. Capital. What does capital represent? Capital represents the owner of the business. So the owner of the business gives arm's length. He gives out the money, then the cash receives on behalf of the business. Okay. Let me look at the next one. Let us go to number 2. I think this one will go to, what are the names? Carol. We have got only 2nd January 2018, 145,000 kwacha of the cash was paid into a bank account. Okay? Opened at Zanaco Bank, Cairo branch. Now, Madam Carol, what are the 2 accounts on that transaction? Remember those things I was telling you? We are using paid, eh? Of the cash we had, part of it we took it to bank. So what are the 2 accounts there? Madam Carol. Okay, Levi. Madam Astrida, try on that one. What are the 2 accounts on the 145 then? Mwansa?
There's the cash account and the bank account.
Very good. Cash account and the bank account. Which one there is giving? Which one is receiving?
The cash account is giving, the bank account is receiving.
Correct. And which account will be debited there and which account will be credited?
The cash account being the giver will be credited, the bank account will be debited.
Correct. Very correct. So I want us to see the movements. How are the movements of money? So what is happening? Which account will be debited, credited, and I need those 3 questions that are being done. Okay, this one will go for Madam Astrida. Madam Astrida, are you there? Madam Astrida. Are you there, Mama? Only 3rd July, 6th January, the company bought a van on credit from Toyota 30. What are the 2? Okay, let me put it open to what are the 2 accounts there on that transaction? What are the 2 accounts on C?
Van and Toyota Zambia.
Pardon? Van, or
There's
correct? Van and Toyota Zambia. Why haven't we mentioned things like bank or cash there? Why not van and cash? Van and bank.
Because we're buying on credit to start with.
Very good.
We are paying Toyota Zambia. We are buying on credit from Toyota Zambia, sorry.
Very good. So what it is how to write the accounts, because we have not yet paid Toyota Zambia, we are still indebted to them. So we need to keep them in our books. So because we haven't yet paid Toyota Zambia, we are indebted to them, so we need to keep them in our books. So the 2 accounts are Motor Van and Toyota Zambia. Right. Now, which account there is a giver? Which account is a receiver? On the same, number 6. Which account is a giver? Which account is a receiver there? Let us try.
Van is the giver.
The what?
Van is the giver.
Good try, but no. Remember, let us go back again. When you see the word bought and paid, that thing you are buying is a receiver. Are you clear on that one? I want you to get two terms, bought and paid. Paid rent, paid electricity. Anything you are paying for is a receiver, always. Bought motor van, bought building, bought goods. Anything you are spending money, both bought and paid, they mean the same thing. Bought and paid means spending money. Not so. So anything that you are spending money on is always a receiver, and the source is always a giver. So in this case, the motor van is a receiver. It is receiving a van, and the Toyota Zambia is a giver. Are we okay there? And the motor van will be debited. Toyota Zambia will be credited. Any question there or any further contribution there? Yes? Please feel free.
Okay, so why we've made van to be the receiver? It's because they are receiving a vehicle from Toyota Zambia.
Yes. Always, anything that you're spending money on, that thing you're spending money on, it is the account, and it's, at the same time, it is the receiver.
Okay, I get.
Thank you. Okay, we go to the D. The company rented shops premises for 15,000 per quarter, and paid for the 6 months immediately by check on January 6, 2018. What are the two accounts? What are the two accounts there on D? Anyone can come in?
Rent and bank accounts.
Rent and bank. So the two accounts are rent is an account. Anything that you're spending money on. We are spending money on rent, not so. It is the account. And then bank account. Okay? So, which account then here will be the giver? Which account will be the receiver?
So we debit rent and we credit the bank because the money is coming from the bank, meaning we are subtracting from the money in the bank.
Correct. So rent will be debited and bank would be credited. Which principle are we using? Anything you spend money on should be debited. On what thing are we spending money on there? We are spending money on rent. So rent is always debited. So anywhere where you see the word rent, mean paid or bought, it should always clear that that thing we are buying is going to be debited. Let us go to number E. Number E. The company bought goods on credit from Case Limited, 144 on 10 January. Okay. Vamos. E. The company bought goods on credit from Case Limited, 144. Or
so we're going to have, if we bought goods, we're going to have a purchase in account.
Yes.
And we're going to have Case Limited, so we'll have a Case Limited account.
Yes. Okay. Which one is giver? Which one is credit receiver then?
Case account is
purchasing.
Okay, Case account. What did you say? Yes. Yes, continue. So you're saying bought goods.
We bought goods, so the account is receiving, so we're debiting it.
Bought goods is purchases, it is receiving, we are debiting it. And the source of the goods, where did the goods come from? They came from Case Limited. So Case Limited is a giver. And bought goods is a receiver. Bought goods account is what we call purchases account. Okay. Let us look at this one. So in short, I want you to get used on how to identify the accounts and how to enter in the ledger accounts. Once you were able to do this, it means that everything is walkover. Number F, the company paid shop expenses amounting to 11,500 by check. What are the two accounts? Help me. Anyone can give me?
Expenses and bank accounts.
We have got shop expenses, it is an account. And bank account, it is another account. Now, Madam Astrida, which one will be debited, which one will be credited there, and why?
The company paid the shop expenses. So we'll debit the company paid. We'll debit the company paid shop expenses. We'll debit the shop expenses and credit the bank account because the money is coming from the bank.
Very correct. Very correct. Excellent. That's the way you look at them. Correct. Let us look at G. On 11th January, the company should sold goods on credit to NAMS Traders Limited for 183. Let me mention this. When do we call something to mean purchases? When it says bought goods is purchases. Okay? When they say bought motor vehicle, you cannot call that purchases. If you buy anything other than goods, the account is that thing you are buying. So when you say bought motor vehicle, the account is motor vehicle. Bought furniture, the account is furniture. Okay? So anything that you are spending money on, it is the account. Now, we come to sales. Sold goods, that one is sales account. But sold any other thing other than goods, you cannot call that sales. So when you say sold motor vehicle, you cannot call that as a sales account. So sold goods, we only call it sales when what you are selling is what? Is goods. That's when you call it sales. So the two accounts there should now be mentioned. So what are the two accounts on G? I have Madam Carol, Astrida, Mwanza. What is the other name? Okay. Madam Carol, what are the two accounts there?
There's the sales account as well as the NAMS Trades Limited account.
NAMS Traders Limited, correct. Now, which account there is a receiver? Which account is a receiver? Okay, let me just make
the sales account is we are debiting the sales account and crediting NAMS Traders.
Good try.
The company sold goods on credit.
Okay, good try, but that's not. Yeah, you have made a good try, but the way it's supposed,
so we are reducing the goods and taking them to NAMS Traders.
Have you seen? There is two. You have seen two NAMS. So sales account is always a giver. Sales will never be debited. Sales always, whenever sales is taking place, you always credit. Always. And the person to where we are sending the goods to, we are sending the goods to NAMS. So NAMS will be now the receiver of the goods. So it will be debited. Are we okay there?
Okay.
So, yes. So sales account is always credited. And if you are selling on credit, the person you are selling to is the debited, is the receiver. Okay. Any contribution from others or any clarification? You really need to understand these concepts very well, so it's very easy to do the double entry. Are we okay on that one? We move? Okay. Let us go to H. On the 20th January 2018, NAMS Traders paid 83 by check, and this was deposited immediately into the bank account. What are the two accounts there?
NAM's traders account and
NAM's
bank
account.
account.
NAM's account and bank account. So which one there will be debited, which one will be credited?
We'll debit the bank.
Because
It doesn't
Money.
it has received money.
I think receiving and NAM's traders.
And credit NAM's in. Okay. So that is the way of doing the identifications. Let us look at this number 20. On 24th January 2018, the company sent a check to Case Limited of 130. Mamansa. Hey, which one? What are the two accounts there on number I?
Bank account and Case Limited account.
Okay, bank account and Case Limited account, correct. So which one there will be receiver, which one will be giver?
The bank account is giving, Case Limited is receiving.
Very correct, very correct. Okay, the last one there. As at 31st January 2018, total cash sales for the month amounted to 92. Okay. What are the two accounts?
Sales, total cash sales, sales account. No. So sales account and account, is it?
Sales account and cash account. Those are the two accounts. Sales account and cash account. So what happened there? Which one is the receiver, which one is the giver? Let us brainstorm. We look at it.
Sales is the giver.
Sales is the giver.
Yes, it's the one to be credited.
One to be credited, and cash, the receiver. Okay. Okay. So those were the transactions, how to enter them. Any questions so far on how to enter those? On how to open up the ledger accounts. So now those you are supposed to open up the ledger accounts and then try it and deposit it. So what I very much wanted you to do was first to identify the ledger accounts, identify the account giving, identify the account to be receiving, and the account debited and credited. Any question?
I lost network. What are the two accounts identified?
On the last one, you have seen it?
Yes.
We have got cash and sales. Cash sales. So you just break it into two. You have seen there? So cash is an account and sales is an account. You are there? So whenever you are selling, I said sales is always a giver. It is always a giver. Sales is always a giver. And cash is always a receiver. Okay? So that's how you move with it. Any question? We are there? Okay, okay. So that is how we are trying to look at the double entry. So we just need to know how to enter in the ledger accounts. When you know how to enter in the ledger accounts, Okay, we now try to put that those double entry, the identification of the accounts into the ledger accounts. So when you look at the first transaction, it was talking about on starting the business. So that's the capital account there, and they started business with the. It was with cash. Where is the cash account? Okay, they started business with cash. So we said cash account will be debited. You have seen that one. And the bank account will be credited with the money that you started the business with, this one. So the double entry there has been entered like this. Remember, this is the account. This part is a debit. And this part is a credit. The credit. Okay. So when you look at this, you should know which side you are entering on. So all those transactions that we're doing, these are the way it was supposed to be done. And after you are done with the accounts, there is a way of balancing the ledger accounts. So you have to know how to balance the ledger accounts. So let me look at maybe, let me go to bank account. Let us all of us look at bank account. All the entries there have been entered. All the entries have been entered. How do we balance off the ledger account? You know this figure when writing here, 136, that one is called the balancing figure. So what we are supposed to do, after you have entered all the transactions, what we are now supposed to do is to add the debit side, find the total, the credit side, find the total. Then whichever is bigger, that's what you write in both sides. Whichever is bigger between the two. So the one that was bigger, it's 215. You put 215 there, also 215 there. Then you add these, you add them up to there. This plus this plus this plus this. The answer you get, you subtract from there. Then the difference is what you put there. Is what you put here. Question on balancing of the ledger account. Any question, please?
The 215 was gotten from where?
145 plus 70. You have seen it? You have seen the 145 in the bank account. We are in the bank account.
Maybe you can point the cursor so that she can see where you are referring to.
Okay, we are here. The cursor is here. We are here on the bank account. This is a bank account here. You have seen it? I've ticked it there. Just immediately after capital account, the next account is bank account. You can't see.
Yeah, so maybe she's asking where, which figures have you added for you to come up with 215? Okay. Is it on the credit side or the debit side?
The debit side. This one, have you seen this one? The 145? You have seen it? And the 70. You have seen those? 145 and 70. Have you seen them, sir? Madam?
Yes.
The 145 and 70, you have seen them. Then you have to add this one on the credit side. You have to add this and this. So when you add the debit side, it's coming to 245. Okay? When you add the credit side, it is going to give you a figure. Okay. Now, what you're supposed to do is this. You are going to get a debit side, add the totals, you get 145. I mean, 145 plus 70, you get the 215. Then go to the credit side also, add 3,000 plus 15 plus 40,000 plus 34,000. When you add those, you are going to have a figure which you are going to find, which will be smaller than 215. So meaning, in the total columns there where I have ticked there, you put the bigger one. The 215, okay, let me just go through it using a calculator. Are we together there? Members, are we there?
Yes.
We have got 145, you have seen it, eh? Plus 70, we get 215. You keep it aside. You don't write it first, okay? Then that is on the debit side. You go on the credit side. We have got 3,000 plus 15 plus 40,000 plus 34,000. Okay? We are now getting 78,800. That's a total for those three. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, which one is bigger between 215 and 78,000? Of course, it's 215, not so. So the 215 is what you put in the total column there. You have seen the total column where there's a 215. So now, where there is balance carried down here, you subtract the 70. The total for this one is 78,5. That's a total for those. 78,5. So 78,5 subtracted from 215. The difference is 136. You have seen the difference? 136 is what you put on alongside the weight balance carried down. Are we following the concepts there? Any feedback, please? Or any challenges?
We're following.
You are following? Okay. So
yes,
what? Pardon? That was a comment? Okay. So you write this one as balance carried down, meaning the difference between these 4 against the 215, the difference is what you put there. Then you bring it down here as balance brought down, which is down here. You bring it in as balance brought down here. Okay? So that's how you balance up a ledger account. Okay, let us try and do another one. Let us go to Toyota. Let us go to this one, Toyota account. Okay. There was just one transaction here, bank. Okay. Was it paid for? Yeah. There was just one transaction there. Okay. The transaction took place on 21 January. We bought this van from Toyota on 6 January and we made a payment on 21 January. So to balance off this account, since there is only one entry, the same figure, which is this side, this one, is what is also had been entered here. Meaning the money was paid in full and nothing was remaining unpaid. So meaning to balance off this account, you just bring this same figure, you bring it this side and then you close it off. That's all. So there is a slight difference between the one on top, okay? The one on top where we had several entries. Where you have got several entries, you add both sides. The bigger one is what you enter in both columns, both total columns. Then you add where there is a smaller one, subtract from the balance there. The difference is what you call balance carried down, and you bring it down here again. Now, I want us to look at one which has got several so that we practice that. Okay, let us look at purchases. Okay, are we on purchases? Let us look at purchases account. Purchases has got one entry on the credit side. We are here on the purchase account. Then we made a payment, okay, to Kabwe. Oh yeah. Okay, the transaction was this. On 10 January, we bought goods from Kabwe, okay? And on 31st December, January again, we further had a supply of goods. Now, we didn't have this one, which is here, the balance carried down. We only had two entries on the debit. So to balance off this one, on the credit side, there was nothing, there was zero. So you add 44 plus 50 gives you 94. Because on the credit side, there is nothing. The same 94 is what you put this other side. Then write balance carried down on the credit side, and you put the same 94 and bring it down again on the debit side. So when it is one-sided, you just add that one side, the total, put it in the total columns, and the same put it on the other side, then bring it down on the other side. Okay? Any challenge on the purchases? Any question on how to enter the purchase account? Any challenges? What are we learning here? We are learning how to balance off a ledger account. How to put an amount in the total column and how to bring it over to the other side. Question? There's no question? Please feel free. Let us interact so that at least we see the way we handle these things, because it's a starting point for accounting. Once you understand the double entry things, it means that wherever we shall be going, we shall be okay. One answer. Madam Asfrida.
I kind of wanted to ask, what was your comment on how to enter is it the purchasing account?
Purchase account? Yes. What I said was, we had two transactions in the purchase account. On 10 January, we bought things from Kabwe worth 44,000. You have seen it, eh? Then on 31st January, again, we bought from Kabwe 50,000 kwacha. Now, what we are saying is, when all the entries are one side, like here, we only had the entries on the debit side, 44 plus 50. There was nothing on the credit side because that figure we have put there is a balancing figure, the 94. This 94 is a balancing figure, okay? Meaning there were only entries on the debit side. So we add 44 plus 50, you get 94. When you look on the credit side, there was nothing. You put also the 94 again in the total column for credit. Then you write 31st January 2015, balance carried down, where I've circled the 94. The 94 is the same total which is here, which you just bring up here. Okay? You bring it up there. And again, you bring it down here. This is the 94. So first, you have to add the debit side, the total debit side, Beyonce. The same figure you have put in the total column, put it also in the total column where there is nothing. The same figure, put it up as the balance carried down. Then you bring it down on this other side as the balance brought down. Question, please. Any question, madam? Have you understood the concept there?
I understand. In fact, I was even behind because with me, what I would do, I would just bring it down without putting a figure on the side where I had no entry.
Okay, you are supposed to put a figure also where there is no entry. Yes. The same figure which is in the total columns is what you put alongside the word balance carried down. Then you bring it down on the other side. Is it clear now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let us do another one. Let us do cash. Let us go to cash account. Are we there on the cash account? We are going to see there were about 3 transactions. 1 January 2015, 160. Then there was 2 January 2015, 145 on the credit side. Then we came back again on the debit. Said 1st January 2015, there was a sales 60. Now there, you are now supposed to check which side is bigger than the other. On the debit side, we have got 2 entries, 160 and 60. On the credit side, we are only having 1 entry, that's 145. So when you add 160 plus 60, it's giving us 220. So you compare which side is heavier than the other, the 220 or the 145. The debit is 220. The credit is 145. The one that is bigger than the other is the one that goes in the total columns there. Those boxes, total. So the credit, when you add this one and this one, you have this total. This same total is what you bring there. Because it's bigger than this. Then you have to subtract this from there. You subtract. Then you are going to have this as your balance carried. So by subtracting this from there, your difference is what we call balance carried down. And you bring it down here again. You bring it down there. Any questions, please? Contributions, suggestions? Are we following the concepts? Can I receive some affirmations from the people? Confirmations? Are we following? So that
yes,
we are following.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Let us look at
Okay,
yes.
Meaning the carried down, carried down figure is always on the last day of the month, and then the brought down balance, it's always on the first day of the following month.
Good observation. Very good observation. Always the carried down is on the last day of the month. The brought down is always on the first day of the following month. Correct. Okay. So
sorry, I didn't get that.
It was when you look at, for example, go to cash. When you look at the balance carried down, have you seen the date which is there? Cash. The balance carried down, yes. The 75. It is 31st January 2015. You have seen it, eh?
Yes.
When you go to the balance brought down, check what date is there?
1st of the month.
Of what? Which month is that one?
February.
So what he was saying is the balance carried down is always the last day of the month. The month of the transaction. This month of the transactions was January. So we write balance carried down on the last day of January, and we bring it down on the first day of the following month. So the following month to January is which month? February. For example, if the balance carried down was the 31st March, what will be the balance brought down? When will be the balance brought down? I mean, when will it be done? On what? I was saying, assuming the balance carried down was 31st March. Now move up. Balance carried down 31st March. How about balance brought down? When will it be brought down? Which day?
1st April.
Pardon?
1st April.
Very good. That's what we are saying. So we are saying when balance carried down is on the last date, the balance brought down is taken on the new date, the first day of the new month, in short. Are we okay? Okay, so basically I was looking at how to balance off the ledger accounts. Do I have questions with people on how to balance off the ledger accounts? Any question? Some people still behind on how to balance off the ledger accounts? I take it that we have understood. We have understood how to do the ledger accounts. So let's see then.